Epstein's thing. It was her thing. I have the Epstein files on my desk. I've seen them. I know everybody's going to see the Epstein clients list. We know this. We know who they are. Complete bullshit. They don't exist now. Really? And that's
they never, according to them, they never existed.
Elon said that Trump was on the list.
Yeah, of course he is. I mean, you can, the flight logs and stuff are public, and the phone logs and everything else from previous cases that have been brought up. And there's no question at all that Trump was a part of it. But at this point, I don't think that's who they're protecting, because I don't think anybody would really give a shit. He's just gonna be like, oh, yeah, we hang out. He's got a beautiful island. He was my neighbor in Mar-a-Lago. His people would not care. Nothing would move on that. So I've also been one of those people who's gotten a lot of flack for saying, Epstein was a narcissist, an abusive narcissist who had already had run-ins with the law and barely gotten out of it. He was arrested again. He saw the writing on the wall. And when men like that are put in those positions, I think it's absolutely plausible they will kill themselves. People like that kill themselves when they're arrested in jail all the fucking time. They do it all the time. It's to evade the humiliation of the fallout and to deprive their victims of any sense or semblance of justice. It's like family annihilators when their wives find out that
it makes no difference to me because he's a pedophile. So I have no sympathy for him.
Oh no, I'm not saying I had any sympathy for him, but I thought it was a plausible explanation that he just killed himself. I was like, really, it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But to say a man like that would never, I'm like, have you met family annihilators who literally kill their wives and their children as soon as their wife finds out that they might be cheating?
Unless you believe Hitler fled to Argentina, which I don't necessarily believe.
Yeah.
He killed himself too.
Yeah, he offed himself too. When he was back, men like that, when they're back into a corner, will take themselves out and everyone around them. And so I was like, totally plausible. I don't think there's necessarily something here. But then they came out and said, no records ever existed. And by the way, we lost 1 minute. The moment that Jeffrey Epstein died is the only footage that we don't have. And I was like, shit, somebody killed him. I was like, because there's no reason to bury that unless
just to suppose what you were saying about suicide. One of my heroes ended that way. It was a completely different situation than the fascists and the pedophiles we're talking about, though. It was Salvador Allende. They actually proved it because they weren't sure how he died. They proved it 30 years later in an autopsy. That was when the presidential palace in Chile was being bombed. He was a great socialist leader down there, and he knew they were going to capture and torture and kill him. So he gave a radio address saying farewell while the building's being bombed, and he offed himself. I think that was an honorable way to go in that situation.
Well, no, I'm not being judgmental of people who kill themselves. I mean, I feel like Jeffrey Epstein is a monster who can be discussed in his own kind of existence. I've had, as a whistleblower, I've known far too many people who I've been very close to who have died that way.
Right.
Because it becomes too harsh. It's too much sometimes. And I would be lying if I said that I didn't think about it, or that there were not points where I was really, I think some people would be shocked to find out how close I was to that. And so I understand it, but we're not talking about people who are good people who are put under a tremendous amount of pressure or who are stalked, harassed, threatened, and all that stuff. We're talking about a man who had barely gotten out of trouble the first time, was just arrested in New York, not in Florida, and so all the same cronies aren't there. And
all the same cronies.
They're not there. There's their own types of cronies, but generally they bat for Team Blue most of the time, unless it's Mom Donnie.
Well, now New York City's going to have looks like a new mayor who's progressive, and all the right can say at all times of the hour is he's a Muslim.